All right, so a couple days ago, I did a video that was covering Caitlyn Jenner and her run to try to unseat Gavin Newsom for the position of the governor of California. And we went through her website and we noticed that there were literally no policies listed at all, pretty much nothing about her ideology or what she believes in. And she actually did an interview with Sean Hannity where she pretty much, in my opinion at least, embarrassed herself and proved how little she actually cares about the substance and the policy of everything. And one of the clips that she did, which we're going to watch right now, was about homelessness and the problem of homelessness in California, which is a serious problem. And here's how the outside anti-elitist had to address this issue of homelessness in California. Here's what the outside anti-elitist had to say about this.
California. My friends are leaving California. Actually, we're at my hangar. The guy across right over from me, he was packing up his hangar. I said, "Where are you going?" And he says, "I'm moving to Sedona, Arizona. I can't take it here anymore. I can't walk down the streets and see the homeless." I don't want to leave. Okay, either I stay and fight or I get out of here. California.
But stay and fight for what? Stay and fight for what? Or get out of here. So there is a serious problem of homelessness in California, obviously. But what are the causes of the homeless crisis in California? She's right in saying that it has a lot to do with corrupt Democratic elites. That's absolutely true. You have corrupt Democratic elites like Nancy Pelosi, who lives in one of the worst, one of the cities with the worst homeless crisis in the entire country, in San Francisco. You have leaders like Gavin Newsom, who she's trying to replace. These people are neoliberals. They don't have any substantive solutions to the problem of homelessness because they don't support things like making housing a human right for all people. They support continuing to make it a commodity and treating it as a commodity and a privilege. And they don't have any serious, substantive policy solutions to that. But neither does Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, she literally phrases this. This is the person who is trying to run some sort of Trumpian campaign of I'm the outside anti-elitist. And she frames this as my friend who I was seeing in the airplane hangar that we both use doesn't like having to see homeless people, okay? Basically reducing homeless people who are human beings, okay, and deserve compassion and empathy, talking about homeless people as if they are like scum on the street that are merely an eyesore for her and her rich buddies. Okay, that's how she frames this issue. Again, somebody who is trying to run a Trumpian campaign of being an outside anti-establishment, anti-elitist person. Okay, so just like the Democrats don't have any substantive policy solutions that they're putting forward to solve the homeless problem in California, neither does she. And this shows you how vapid her view of politics actually is. She's not even proposing any actual solutions. She just thinks, I'm going to get in there and fight. Fight for what? What are you going to do? You're going to kick all the homeless people out of the state? What are you going to do about it? She doesn't have any answer to those questions. So she embarrassed herself in this interview. She went on explaining how she doesn't support that she's opposed to transgender girls playing in sports against other girls. Ironic, obviously, given who she is. But, I mean, this is an issue that I also think is obviously sensitive, and there's a lot of people who have very strong positions on this one way or another. But in my view, it's pretty simple. And she brings up the suicide rate within the trans community in this clip. In my view, it's pretty simple. You cannot or you should not ban people from participating in sports, especially young people, okay? In young people's lives, that's one of the best ways that they're able to socialize, make friends, develop themselves. And if you just ban a section of the population, which is already some of the most marginalized people in the country, and you tell them you're not allowed to play this community building activity, you're not allowed to participate in sports, to me that's completely unacceptable. I think that's completely unacceptable, and it really stops there for me. And as far as if you think it's unfair for other people, there's a huge debate that you can be had on both sides of that, and I think there's evidence to show that it's not necessarily the case that young transgender girls have a huge advantage in some of these sports. So there's that issue that she covered. Obviously ironic given that she wants to be a leader in the trans community, but all of these trans organizations and many trans people have come out against her campaign, again, because she can't back it up on the policy issues. If you wanted to support the trans community, one of the things that you could do, just as an example, is support something like Medicare for All, guarantee healthcare, including gender-affirming healthcare to all people, including trans people. That's something you could do substantively on the policy issues to support the trans community, and it would also help everybody else at the same time. But she doesn't support those things, and so it's no wonder why these organizations and the trans community as a whole doesn't support her campaign. She also brought up forest management. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's somewhat of a problem in California, but if you're talking about climate change and you're bringing up forest management, I'm guessing that you were just pulling from the Trump playbook and you don't actually have a plan to substantively address climate change. She continues on here, obviously continuing to embarrass herself in some of these clips. Sean Hannity had to correct her on legal immigration. She said she supported illegal immigration, whatever, just a misspeaking of her words there. Coming out against high-speed rail. Absolutely terrible position. Why would you be against high-speed rail? What even is the position here? That people can fly? Everybody can just fly? The whole point of public transportation and high-speed rail is providing a cheap, sustainable alternative for the general public to use. Flying is not something that is available to every person, okay? It's expensive, it's hard to do, and not everybody can afford to do it. So just another example of the elitist in her coming out. But again, trying to run an anti-elitist campaign here. She continues on, saying that Biden did a better job of Trump and just basically completely said nothing in this clip. Let's go ahead and listen to why she thinks Trump did a better job than Biden.
We've had 4 years of Donald Trump. We have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Give me your assessment of those three people.
What I liked about Donald Trump is he was a disruptor. You know, he came in and shook the system up, okay? A lot of people didn't like that in Washington, D.C., but he came in and shook the system up. I think he did some things that I agreed with, some things I didn't agree with.
You were critical on transgender issues.
On trans issues, LGBT issues, I was more hopeful at the beginning. But there were some good things he did. On the other hand, Biden, I don't think I've agreed with anything. I don't think since he's been in there, he has done anything for the American worker, maybe other ones. So it is a 180-degree turn in our country, going the other direction.
Okay, listen, I mean, can you get more hollow and vapid than that? What are you even saying? She didn't even bring up a single policy issue, and at the end, and listen, I'm not a big fan of Joe Biden, that shouldn't be a secret to anybody who watches my videos, but what the fuck are you talking about? Donald Trump supported the American worker. What the fuck did Donald Trump do for the American worker? He continued to ship jobs overseas. He said he was going to do a Buy American order, and it was a bullshit Buy American week where he didn't do anything. He's vehemently pro-corporate interests. He did one of the largest corporate tax breaks in U.S. history. This is not a guy who represents the working class. That's obvious, and it is further obvious that she has no idea what the fuck she's talking about by evidence that she thinks that Trump is a more pro-worker president than Joe Biden. And Joe Biden isn't even a pro-worker candidate. But like, if you were going to come out in favor or in support of the American worker, then come out and talk about the PRO Act. Come out and talk about some of the actual issues. Talk about unionization efforts. What are you talking about when you say you support the American worker? She has nothing. Talk about raising the minimum wage. Talk about giving them universal health care so unions don't have to use that as a bargaining chip. I mean, there's all of these different things that she could be talking about substantively, but she's not. And that really gives away the entire game. She has no idea what the fuck she's talking about. She doesn't have any substantive policy to back up anything of what she's saying. She's really just pretty much a Trump sycophant who's trying to garner support from his base, and in my opinion is going to fail to do so, because I don't think that they support her because the Republican Party happens to be very anti-trans and very anti-LGBT issues, and so I don't think she's going to be able to garner enough support from the Republicans, and she's coming out against a lot of the things that Democrats and left-leaning people would support. So I don't know what exactly her plan is here to win. I don't think she's going to win, and this was just another perfect reminder, really embarrassing for her, honestly, but a perfect reminder that this is just another celebrity trying to insert themselves in politics and utterly failing.